We got two of the wins. Hey. We got Damon and Damon. We got two of the wins. Hey. We got Damon and.
He's the mastermind who created In Living Color, the TV show that flipped American culture upside down and rewrote the rules forever. The genius filmmaker who turned comedy parody into a billion-dollar powerhouse that had the whole world laughing.
I sent his mom to Vermont to live with her mother because I was really just running from him. I was too young to have a child. I couldn't see myself with a kid. And I didn't meet Junior until he was like 5 weeks old.
He's the one who spotted raw talent before anyone else and pushed them straight to Hollywood's top. Jim Carrey, Jamie Foxx, Jennifer Lopez. All of them rose under the vision of Keenen Ivory Wayans, a creative mind years ahead of his time. A trailblazer who didn't just chase fame, he built it. But just when his career was shining at its brightest, something strange happened. The spotlight went out. Keenen Ivory Wayans vanished from Hollywood. No scandal, no meltdown, no goodbye. So what really went down?
And I went there.
Struggle was real.
Yeah, I went to Vermont to visit him.
You know who taught me to hold my neck up? Yeah. Me.
Yeah, but I didn't meet him until like the 5th week, and I remember driving up to the house and I heard him crying.
Who had the kind of power to make a genius disappear from the industry he helped shape? This is the truth Hollywood has tried to bury for nearly 30 years. It's time to pull the curtain back and expose the story they didn't want told. Keenen Ivory Wayans' journey started with a fire that no system could silence. Born on June 8, 1958 in Harlem, the heartbeat of black culture, but also a place where dreams could fade fast. Keenen's childhood shaped the fighter he'd become. His father, Howell Wayans, worked long nights as a strict but devoted security guard, while his mother, Elvira, held the family together as a homemaker and social worker who believed education was their ticket out.
Outside of the house in Vermont, and I go in, he's screaming, and Lisa, his mom, she doesn't know what to do. Her hair is all frazzled. And I say, here, give him to me. And I hold him, and he instantly stops crying. And I'm just holding him and humming, and he's just looking up at me. And that was the moment that I realized I gotta be a man for this guy. I gotta grow up.
But no degree could change one hard truth. 12 family members packed into a tiny 700-square-foot apartment, chasing hope in a city that rarely gave it. Some nights in Harlem, only the youngest Wayans kids got to eat. The adults went to bed hungry so the little ones could have a meal. Back then, every black kid learned an unspoken rule. Stay invisible to survive. Don't stand out, don't make noise, just blend in.
As long as you're moving forward, you're gonna get somewhere. You don't know where, but you're gonna get somewhere, right? If you take off walking today, you're gonna get somewhere.
But Keenen Ivory Wayans was never meant to blend in. He was so sharp that he earned an engineering scholarship to Tuskegee University, the kind of success story everyone around him praised. It was the right path, safe, steady, and respectable.
So the thing is that as long as you are going, so do stuff. That's it. It's like, don't sit, just do stuff.
But once Keenen stepped into that so-called American dream, he realized it wasn't built for people like him. It was someone else's version of success, and he wanted no part of it. So he made a bold move. He dropped out, packed a small suitcase, and walked away from the life everyone expected him to live. With no backup plan, no money, and no family nearby, he set his sights on Los Angeles, the city where dreams are made or broken.
True story. A teacher, well, my dad, being the disciplinarian he is, told the teacher it was okay to hit me.
Really?
Yes. It was, you know, they get out of line, you go ahead.
He hit open mics at grimy bars, crashed on floors, and stretched one slice of pizza into 3 meals just to survive. But even through all that, Keenen never lost faith in his dream. He kept telling himself, one day my comedy will make the world listen. And he meant it. By the late 1980s, that fire finally sparked something huge. Hollywood still boxed black comedians into small, safe roles. But Keenen had other plans.
Now, unfortunately for the teacher, my mother was the one that came to school. And this is what Mom was talking about, my mother when she's angry. She comes to school and she's, first of all, when I came home, she was straightening her hair.
He grabbed the mic, stepped into the spotlight, and turned laughter into his weapon. He wasn't just cracking jokes, he was breaking barriers. In 1987, fueled by rebellion and raw determination, Keenen decided to make a film that would flip every old Hollywood rule on its head. Hollywood Shuffle.
With the straightening yes. And you know a woman is mad when they don't finish. So...
Directed by Robert Townsend and co-written with Keenen Ivory Wayans, was more than just a movie. It was a rebellion caught on camera. These two didn't have fancy producers or million-dollar investors cheering them on. They had no powerful studio backing, no golden connections, and no big Hollywood resume that opened doors. What they did have was fire, bold ideas, pure creativity, and a deep frustration with the stereotypes that kept black artists trapped in one-dimensional roles.
She left. She showed up at school, and it was like half Afro and half Al Sharpton, right?
They risked everything. They borrowed cash, maxed out credit cards, and hustled together around $100,000 just to make their dream real. And guess what? That gamble changed everything. When Hollywood Shuffle hit theaters, it wasn't just hilarious, it was revolutionary. It called out the entire system right in its face.
She made me point out the teacher. She walks up to him, and the teacher is terrified because my mother, as she's talking to him, is warming up. She's like, oh, so Lil Keenen told me that you put your hands on him, you know?
The movie exploded at the US box office, pulling in more than $5 million, over 50 times its original budget. Those numbers turned heads fast, and suddenly two outsiders had the whole industry talking. Hollywood Shuffle became one of 1987's biggest indie hits, sending a loud message straight to Hollywood's front door. Black actors don't just belong in the background, they can lead, write, and dominate the screen. It wasn't just a movie.
And the teacher's like, oh, Miss Wayans, your husband said that, and my mother said, listen, first of all, my husband don't have no kids. That's my child.
It was a cultural earthquake. The film shattered stereotypes, flipped perspectives, and made way for a new kind of storytelling where the Wayans name would stand tall at the center of it all. And that breakthrough opened the door to something even bigger, In Living Color, a show that didn't just entertain but reprogrammed the DNA of American TV at a time when Fox was still the underdog next to ABC, NBC, and CBS. The network took a massive risk.
Really? I laid on my back 16 hours pushing his big head out. Now, when my husband pushed one out, you hit that one.
Putting their biggest bet on one man who was ready to change everything. Hollywood never truly gave Keenen Ivory Wayans the credit he earned. Imagine this, a black creator who shattered every box the industry tried to trap him in.
I want to bring my older brother out here to California, my brother Dwayne. He needs to come cool out a little bit, because, well, he's the kind of guy who finds racism in everything. Everything is racist in my brother. He got fired from his job at McDonald's, okay?
Finally handed full creative control. No censorship, no restrictions, just raw truth and fearless comedy. On April 15th, 1990, In Living Color hit Fox like a lightning bolt, and nothing on TV would ever be the same again.
There, had the family sitting around the living room, he was pacing up down, he was like, man, the white man. You know the white man's something else, y'all. I'm gonna tell you something, you better watch yourself.
This show didn't just make people laugh, it made the powerful uncomfortable. It went straight at the topics that American television used to run from: police brutality, racial divides, class privilege, and the legal system's double standards. And for the first time, hip-hop, a culture long dismissed by mainstream media, was front and center on national television.
Because the white man don't want to see you make it. That's right, they don't want to see you get ahead. They got a conspiracy out there. That's right, a conspiracy. And I'm like, where's this dude's head at? Does he think there's some secret organization sitting around going?
Within just a few episodes, In Living Color became more than a TV show. It was a movement. Viewers couldn't stop talking about it. Ratings shot through the roof, and some weeks it even beat Saturday Night Live.
Okay, members, listen up. Now, there are too many black people making it in this country. They're making much too much progress. Now, let's see. We've got Malcolm X. We've got Martin Luther King.
A show that had ruled late-night comedy for 15 straight years. Suddenly, Fox wasn't the scrappy newcomer anymore. It was standing shoulder to shoulder with the TV giants, ABC, NBC, and CBS. And at the center of it all was Keenen Ivory Wayans.
Dwayne. He's up for a promotion at McDonald's? Stop him.
The once unknown comedian now crowned as one of the most powerful figures in television comedy. After just one season, he had flipped the industry on its head. In Living Color, swept up 3 Emmy Awards and was celebrated for being bold, sharp, and unapologetically fearless.
Why you trying to bite my style? I spent all week growing my hair out for this new look. And look at this.
But it was more than a comedy show. It was a cultural rebellion disguised as laughter. Keenen was the commander of that revolution, and every sketch was a strike against the system. In Living Color didn't just entertain, it launched careers. If it weren't for Keenen, Jim Carrey might have stayed just another rejected name in casting rooms. Instead, the show turned him into the first true superstar of physical comedy.
See, I can't take when all this is, man. That's all right. You keep that. I got many flavors. You gonna keep that. I'm gonna let you have that tonight.
If it weren't for In Living Color, Hollywood might have never met some of its biggest stars. Without Keenen Ivory Wayans, Jamie Foxx might have still been performing comedy on tiny bar stages for a handful of people instead of becoming a $20 million per film powerhouse.
You also overcame, you had a foot defect.
Club foot.
A club foot?
Yeah, not head. It's for life.
It's for, I thought you had operations to correct
Operation, but still, it's like I'm in pain.
In Living Color showed the world his insane range, the comedy, the music, the acting, everything that would later earn him an Oscar. And Jennifer Lopez, before In Living Color, she was just a backup dancer moving in the shadows behind other artists. But Keenen saw something in her that nobody else did. The show put her under the bright lights.
I just walk around with like a toothache in my foot. It's a constant, yeah.
Wow. What does that do to you?
You learn to accept things. That's another thing I practice. I accept everything and I expect nothing. This club foot has been a gift. You know, my brother says that I'm not such the dark one, but I have a darker sense of humor than the rest of the family.
And that moment launched the path that would make her a global icon. Keenen didn't just cast actors, he created stars. He didn't hand out roles, he molded legends. His eye for talent changed the entire game. And once TV could no longer contain his ambition, he aimed higher, way higher, at the global box office. Then came Scary Movie, the franchise that would make history.
Amen. We got to up the way. We got Damon. Damon.
In 2000, Keenen directed the first film in what would become a billion-dollar phenomenon. Before its release, most studios laughed it off, thinking it was just another throwaway spoof, but Keenen knew exactly what he was doing. He flipped the horror genre upside down.
I always feel bad when I hear, like friends of mine talking about how hard their childhood was, because I literally lived like a dream at childhood. And I'm sure all my siblings would agree that we just were so incredibly privileged.
Turning all those dramatic jump scares, cheesy twist endings, and predictable plots into pure comedy gold. It wasn't just a parody. It was a smart takedown of the same system that took itself way too seriously.
To have like 2 parents that both agreed to like never fight in front of each other and in front of the kids, and we always had activities, we always had friends over, snacks. So many snacks.
With a budget of only $19 million, Scary Movie exploded into a global hit, earning a jaw-dropping $278 million worldwide. Nobody in Hollywood saw it coming.
It was great. This snack game, your snack game was
Crazy.
off the chain. Michael Jordan used to come over and like eat all my snacks. That's how good our snacks were. When Jordan's in there just like munching on your freaking, yeah, I'm just like, bro.
Tongue was already out.
Yeah.
That success didn't just shock studios, it made history, becoming the highest grossing film ever directed by a black filmmaker at the time.
Yeah, he came over too much.
He was,
Shout out to Jordan though.
No, he was amazing to have him. Like all the friends, my friends would want to come over, not to see me, to see him, to hope to get a glimpse of Michael Jordan. And like one thing I really put my foot down was don't bother him.
At that moment, Scary Movie wasn't just another hit. It was the start of a billion-dollar empire, a global franchise born straight from Keenen Ivory Wayans' vision and unstoppable creativity. He proved to the entire world that comedy rooted in the black experience could dominate worldwide. No limits, no boundaries, just pure genius on display.
Like, he moved in for the whole summer. I only went over to the house once, and that's because he invited me in. Did the fan in me want to be there every day? Yes, because I could like see him from my window. I would see him inside. There he is, there he is, there he is. Look, 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 look.
Fueled by that momentum, Keenen kept delivering box office gold. Scary Movie 2, White Chicks, Little Man, Dance Flick, each film racked up huge numbers and solidified his status as a cultural icon. Every hit wasn't just about money, it was about impact. He was building a legacy that stretched way beyond the screen.
But
I remember when you first moved in, you guys army crawled over to the window to see it. I was like, you guys
that living room, right?
yeah, with the piano. Yeah.
Redefining what black comedy could look like at the top of Hollywood. By the early 2000s, Keenen had officially joined the ranks of Hollywood's most powerful black millionaires.
I need you to do me a big favor. I'm tailing somebody, and I need to know if she gave me the slip. The bearded lady back here won't let me in.
You a little late. I'm about to go to lunch, and I'm not a vegetarian, so fish is not on the
Wait a
menu.
minute, this is a big favor.
A milestone that didn't sit right with everyone in the system, because when a black man rises too high, the gatekeepers start to get nervous. Keenen was no longer just making movies, he was shaping pop culture itself. Studios depended on his box office magic, and his ability to make stars was unmatched.
Yoo-hoo, women! Hey, Bernard! Tarvin. Okay.
Excuse me.
But here's the twist. Keenen didn't play by Hollywood's old rules. He wasn't tied to any elite circle or corporate clique. He was his own boss, his own brand, and that independence scared the industry's power players. That's when the silent war began.
Who's this?
This is Bernard, and what's wrong with you?
D. Bernard?
Yeah.
It's me. Homewrecker, he's with me.
A quiet but brutal clash between one creative genius and the system that feared his freedom. Hollywood wasn't ready for someone like him, and the higher he climbed, the harder they pushed back.
I can't believe you just did that.
You are my stuff, and you know it. Don't even try it.
He's lying. Don't believe him, Bernard. Don't believe him.
Oh, you did not say that last night when we was in bed together, girl.
And that pushback hit fast. After the explosive success of In Living Color, the same show Fox once called revolutionary suddenly became too dangerous. What was once a groundbreaking comedy now felt like a threat to the people in charge.
You slept with him. You slut. Bernard.
Save your tears, honey. You never had a chance.
The executives at Fox did what power always does when it feels exposed. They reached for the oldest weapon in the book, censorship. Week after week, Keenen's creative freedom got tighter, his sketches edited, his voice slowly choked by corporate hands. Every In Living Color episode had to survive a maze of reviews before it ever reached the screen.
Jim was great. Here's what I love about Jim.
Vera DeMilo! Oh, she is awesome! Some say she's gone too.
Each sketch got picked apart by a network review board, searching for anything they called too raw, too sensitive, or too controversial. If it challenged racial injustice, mocked the powerful, or hit too close to the truth, it got cut or watered down until it lost its punch. Fox wanted the laughs, but not the heat. They wanted the show to be funny, just not too real. Soon Keenen's boldest sketches, the ones that made people think, were being locked away, buried, or sliced to pieces until the message was gone.
And I used to cite him to all the other cast members in that he's an example of there are no small parts.
This wasn't just censorship, it was erasing the voice of the man who built the entire show. They weren't just editing jokes, they were editing his truth. Then came 1992, the breaking point. In one episode, Keenen directed a satirical sketch that tackled a major social issue head-on. It was sharp, daring, and pure in living color.
So we had a sketch where he had one line. It was a Homie the Clown sketch. And he was a cowboy.
But right in the middle of the live broadcast, something unbelievable happened. Fox suddenly cut the show off and threw a commercial on screen without warning, no approval, no discussion, just an instant shutdown right in front of millions of viewers. That moment made history for all the wrong reasons. Nothing like it had ever happened on American TV before. It wasn't just censorship anymore. It was a public power move, a message to everyone watching that the network could pull the plug on its own creator anytime it wanted. For Keenen, it was more than an insult. It was a betrayal. He'd gone from being the show's visionary to being treated like an employee who had to ask permission to speak. In Living Color had once been Fox's goldmine, the show that built their empire.
and he comes in, and he had this whole, he had one line. He had this whole character for this one line. And that's just how Jim has always approached his work. Every part that Jim has ever had.
But now it was being slowly suffocated by the very system it made rich. The show was riding high, massive ratings, huge profits, an instant cultural explosion. But when In Living Color started stepping past safe entertainment and began speaking hard truths about racism, injustice, and the cracks in American society, Fox started to panic. The moment the comedy got too real, the network saw danger. Because when black creators start speaking the full truth on national TV, the old Hollywood system starts to tremble, and they couldn't let that happen. So Fox did what powerful institutions always do. They pushed back hard. They took the raw, rebellious laughter of black creators and tried to turn it into something soft, polished, and easy to control.
Whether the movie worked or didn't work or whatever, he creates, you know? He creates. He doesn't walk through anything.
The same show that was supposed to challenge the system was now being molded to fit inside it. That was the line Keenen Ivory Wayans refused to cross. He had built In Living Color as a platform for black creativity, independence, and pride.
Well, he made love to my mother, and then I was born.
It wasn't love.
I mean, he made sex to my mother.
But now that very platform was being manipulated by executives who didn't understand or respect its message. Keenen fought back every week, battling the network over scripts, jokes, and entire sketches. Every line of dialogue became a fight for artistic freedom. But while Keenen was in the trenches defending his vision, Fox was plotting behind his back, and what they did next cut deeper than censorship.
I walked into the hospital, my sugar was at 535.
Ooh.
Supposed to be between 80 and 120.
You about to go into a diabetic coma.
That's what he said. So I tell Keenen.
It was the ultimate betrayal. In television, reruns mean big money, but they also come with strict contract rules. The creators must be notified in advance, so they receive their rightful share of profits, and so the show's syndication value stays protected. Keenen had that clause in his deal, and it was his safety net. But in 1992, Fox broke that trust completely. Without warning, they secretly rebroadcast old In Living Color episodes. No notice, no approval, and no payment to Keenen or his team. It wasn't just a business trick. It was a direct stab in the back of the man who built their empire from scratch. These reruns weren't part of any official schedule. Fox just threw them on the air out of nowhere to cash in on surprise advertising profits.
And Keenan's like, okay, you gotta change your diet. I go, what do you mean? He goes, well, if you don't eat sugar, you won't have a sugar problem. So he goes through my cabinets and stuff, and he's gonna throw away this, he's gonna throw away this, ketchup got sugar, everything I like got sugar. But what I found out, having this glucose monitor,
the network pocketed all that extra money while quietly dodging the legal payments owed to the show's creator and team. It wasn't just shady, it was straight up exploitation. And the damage didn't stop there. Those unsanctioned reruns completely wrecked the show's syndication value when In Living Color was later sold to other networks. That one sneaky move cost Keenen Ivory Wayans and his crew millions of dollars in future earnings.
If I lift heavier weights, then my sugar goes down all day, and especially legs. That's the first thing that go when you get older, you stop doing the legs.
Yeah.
You think walking is working your legs out. Oh, I walked 3 miles. It don't mean nothing.
In order for a muscle to grow, you gotta put it under stress.
It wasn't a simple mistake. It was one of the most cold-blooded betrayals in television history. At that moment, Keenen realized the truth. He wasn't just fighting for creative freedom anymore. He was up against an entire system built to squeeze every drop of value from black creators while cutting them out of the rewards. The same system that loved his talent when it made them money was now trying to erase his power and ownership. That act of greed was the final straw. Keenen had been patient, loyal, and determined to protect the voice of his community. But this was beyond repair. He faced a painful choice: stay and surrender to censorship, becoming a puppet for corporate control.
You know, they say there's a part of your brain that only grows when you do stuff you don't want to do. And athletes tend to have the most developed part of their brain. And this part of the brain has to do with discipline, self-control, stick-to-itiveness. So I'm trying to develop that part of my brain.
Or walk away and keep his pride, his name, and his integrity intact. And Keenen chose dignity. He refused to let anyone buy his silence or control his art. By late 1992, as season 4 began, Keenen Ivory Wayans made the boldest move of his career. He walked away from In Living Color. It wasn't just an exit. It was a statement heard across Hollywood. He showed the world that pride and self-respect matter more than any paycheck, any contract, or any promise of fame. Keenen's decision to walk away wasn't made alone. His family stood right beside him. The Wayans turned his exit into a powerful, united statement against a system that tried to silence their creativity. A few years later, in 1994, In Living Color was officially canceled, and audiences felt the heartbreak instantly. When the person who protects the laughter is forced into silence, the show doesn't just end, it loses its soul. Keenen's absence wasn't just the loss of a creator. It was the disappearance of the show's conscience, its edge, and its honesty. Without his direction, the fearless comedy that once challenged the system faded away. What remained was a shell of what In Living Color had been. Proof that no show can survive when its heart is ripped out. But even after it ended, the battle left a message carved deep into Hollywood's history. You can control the money, but you can never control the mind of a genius who rose from struggle. The clash between Keenen and Fox wasn't just about comedy sketches or ratings, it was about ownership of culture itself. Who gets to tell the story? Who gets to define the voice of the people? Who decides what truth is allowed on screen? Fox wanted to package the show, polish it up, and sell it as a safe commercial product. Keenen wanted it to stay raw, a platform for those who had been ignored and silenced for too long. But power never likes being challenged, and when it's afraid, it attacks. They didn't just want to edit jokes, they wanted to silence the voices behind them. Silence the laughter, silence the message, silence the people. When Keenen Ivory Wayans walked away, he didn't lose. He won the fight for dignity. But his victory came with heartbreak. His greatest tragedy wasn't the war with Fox, it was watching the world he built begin to fall apart from the inside. Behind the curtain, In Living Color started to crumble. Trust faded, tensions rose, and the show that once united people in laughter began to fracture under the weight of its own legacy. At the very peak of In Living Color's success, something unexpected shook the cast: the sudden exit of Kim Coles. One day, she was on screen making people laugh, and the next, she was gone. No announcement, no press statement, no official explanation from anyone. Fans were stunned and immediately started asking questions. How could such a popular face just vanish from one of TV's hottest shows? At first, people guessed it was just creative differences, maybe the usual behind-the-scenes disagreements that come with fame, but soon, whispers started spreading. Entertainment columns, early talk shows, and fan discussions online began buzzing with speculation that Kim's exit might have been linked to an alleged romantic connection between her and Keenen Ivory Wayans himself. Nothing was ever confirmed, no proof, no paperwork, no statement, but the silence made people even more curious. And then came another layer of controversy. Rumors that Jennifer Lopez, one of the show's breakout dancers, was being favored over others. As both creator and director, Keenen had full authority over casting, camera time, and creative direction. That meant every spotlight moment was his call. Inside the studio, people began noticing that Jennifer, who wasn't yet known for comedy, was getting more screen exposure and special performance moments than others who had been writing and performing sketches since day one. This led to serious frustration among the cast. Some felt like their hard work behind the scenes was being overshadowed by what looked like favoritism toward Lopez. They weren't just jealous, they were upset about fairness. In an ensemble that was supposed to be about equal shine and team creativity, some members felt pushed to the background while the same few faces got most of the attention. Those tensions started building quietly. Silent rivalries, unspoken resentment, and long days on set where smiles for the camera masked growing frustration behind the scenes. Jamie Foxx was a firecracker. Wild talent, big energy, and a personality that could light up any room. But that same intensity made him hard to handle. Tommy Davidson later revealed that Jamie had a habit of pushing buttons, jumping into scenes, stretching out improv bits, and sometimes stealing the spotlight a little too often. What looked like fun and laughter on camera sometimes left hurt feelings once the cameras stopped rolling. People laughed because that was the job, but behind those laughs were teammates quietly struggling. And through it all, Keenen rarely stepped in to stop it. He let the chaos play out, letting the unscripted tension fuel the comedy. It made the show more real, more unpredictable, but it also came with a cost. When the line between performance and disrespect started to blur, the bond between the cast began to crack. There were no scandals, no arrests, no wild headlines, just betrayal and silence, and sometimes that hurts even more than a public fight. One by one, people who once called Keenen their mentor started seeing him as a rival, a gatekeeper standing in the way of their own spotlight. The unity that once made In Living Color unstoppable was slowly fading. After rewriting TV history and breaking box office records with Scary Movie, Keenen Ivory Wayans seemed destined to rule Hollywood. But instead, something unexpected happened. Around 2001, he stepped away completely. No big announcement, no farewell tour, just a quiet retreat from the spotlight. The man who once stood at the center of pop culture suddenly suddenly disappeared from it. The fame, the red carpets, the talk shows, gone. He stopped showing up at industry events, turned down interviews, and avoided the digital world altogether. While Hollywood was becoming more online and image-driven than ever, Keenen chose silence over spectacle, a mystery that left fans and insiders wondering, why would a man at the top of his game just walk away? Keenen's sudden disappearance didn't look like a regular Hollywood retirement. It felt like a calculated move, almost like self-protection. His silence left a massive gap in the industry, and that vacuum sparked wave after wave of wild theories. The most talked about one, that Keenen Ivory Wayans had been quietly blacklisted by Hollywood's most powerful gatekeepers. People believed that after he challenged Fox and proved that black-led comedy could dominate the box office without studio control, the industry saw him as a threat. Too independent, too influential, and too unpredictable. To the old power structure, that kind of freedom was dangerous. So, according to insiders, they shut him out, ensuring he'd never shake up the system again. After everything he witnessed, the deceit, the censorship, the rerun scandal, Keenen started moving differently. He wasn't just protecting his career anymore, he was protecting his family. He built a shield of privacy around his wife and kids, pulling them completely out of Hollywood's spotlight. He knew that in a world driven by control, his family could become his greatest vulnerability, and he refused to give the industry that power over him. Years of legal battles over In Living Color's profits and ownership drained him emotionally, but they also taught him a lesson. The only way to win against Hollywood's power games is to step beyond their reach. His silence wasn't surrender, it was strategy. The quiet of a man who knew more than he could ever safely say. A man with too much influence to be ignored, yet too smart to stay visible. Keenen Ivory Wayans didn't lose, he leveled up. He chose to win without applause, walking away with freedom, privacy, and a fortune built on pure creativity and business sense. With an estimated net worth between $65 and $75 million, he proved that independence can be the ultimate victory. No single contract made him rich. His mind did. Keenen built his empire through vision, resilience, and talent that Hollywood could never cage again. Most of Keenen Ivory Wayans' wealth didn't come from fame. It came from ownership. His fortune was built on royalties and huge box office returns from his film empire, especially the scary movie franchise and hits like White Chicks. Even though Fox betrayed him during the secret rerun scandal, Keenen was smart enough to protect what mattered most, his creator credit. That title guaranteed that every single time In Living Color airs again, whether on cable, streaming, or overseas, a share of that revenue still lands right in his pocket and his family's. But Keenen wasn't the kind of millionaire who threw money around to look rich. He flipped his success into smart, steady investments, turning film profits into long-term security. He focused on high-value real estate, buying luxury properties in private parts of California, far from paparazzi and industry chaos. No risky stock plays, no fame-chasing ventures, just quiet, strategic moves that built him real independence. Hollywood often uses money as a weapon, cutting paychecks, canceling deals, and punishing anyone who refuses to play by the rules. But for Keenen, those threats didn't matter anymore. With an estimated $75 million to his name, he became untouchable. Too wealthy to manipulate, too independent to control. That fortune became his armor, a barbed wire fence built from his own brilliance, keeping out anyone who tried to silence or exploit him again. He made sure that after breaking free from Fox's grip, no studio, no executive, no power could ever dictate his voice or his life again. That's the cold truth Hollywood had to swallow. Keenen didn't just escape their system, he beat it on his own terms. Far from the stage lights and cameras, the man once known for rebellion and wild comedy transformed into one of Hollywood's most private figures. His personal life became sacred ground, nearly impossible for outsiders to touch. After seeing what the entertainment world could do to people, Keenen chose peace, privacy, and family. The one thing no network or studio could ever rewrite. Back in the late 80s, when Keenen was still fighting to get In Living Color on the air, one person stood by him through all the chaos, Daphne Polk. She was his calm in the storm, the steady anchor while he battled rejection, pressure, and endless late nights chasing his dream. After years together, they finally married in June 2001. By then, Keenen was no longer the struggling comedian from Harlem. He was a Hollywood heavyweight, the director behind Scary Movie, the film that shattered records and made history for a black filmmaker. Over the next decade, they built a beautiful family and welcomed 5 children. Keenen once shared, "I don't want my kids to grow up in a world where their father always has to wear a mask." But that dream wasn't easy to protect. Success came with massive pressure, non-stop projects, studio battles, and endless decisions that shaped not just his career, but the entire Wayans legacy. There were nights when Keenen would come home and say nothing at all, not out of anger, but exhaustion. The weight of carrying a family and an empire at the same time left little room for peace. Daphne understood the man behind the fame, but understanding isn't the same as peace. Years of stress quietly chipped away at their connection until, in 2004, they chose to part ways. Their separation was private. But for Keenen, the emotional echo was loud. For the first time, he lost something far more valuable than Hollywood could ever give: his family. That loss opened a new chapter in his life. A few years later, Keenen found comfort again with actress Brittany Daniel, one of the stars of White Chicks. Their relationship, lasting from 2007 to 2014, brought energy and warmth back into his world, but even then, the shadow of loss stayed close. Brittany brought joy, but the fear of losing love and family again never truly left him. Deep down, Keenen carried that quiet ache, a reminder that even for the strongest minds, success can't always protect the heart. When actress Brittany Daniel faced her public battle with cancer, Keenen Ivory Wayans was there, quietly, faithfully, and without fanfare. No staged interviews, no sympathy press, no social media posts, just a man standing by someone he cared about, refusing to turn pain into publicity. For Keenen, love was private, sacred, and deeply human. He never allowed his personal life to be turned into entertainment. He guarded it like it was his soul. The same soul that once powered his fearless comedy. On stage, he broke every boundary imaginable. In real life, he built walls, not to hide, but to protect what mattered most: family, peace, and authenticity. And that isn't weakness, that's victory. In a world where most people trade privacy for attention, Keenen chose silence over spectacle. He chose love over fame. That's the real mark of a man who found meaning beyond the lights. Now, years later, the world has finally caught up to his legacy. In 2025, the entire Wayans family, including Keenen and his legendary siblings, was inducted into the NAACP Image Awards Hall of Fame, a massive honor recognizing their groundbreaking impact on American entertainment. From TV to film, they redefined comedy, giving Black creativity a voice that could never again be ignored. Keenen doesn't need Hollywood anymore, and that's exactly what makes him so powerful. But even after all the battles, his love for comedy never faded. Instead of chasing studio deals or big-budget movies, he's gone back to where it all started. Stand Up! The stage is where he's free again. No censorship, no executives hovering, no watered-down ideas. He pops up at select shows and comedy clubs, often performing with his brothers, raw, honest, and completely in control. It's Keenen at his purest, connecting with people face to face, making them laugh without filters, and proving that true talent doesn't need a network, a studio, or a spotlight to shine. Even though Keenen Ivory Wayans stays off social media and keeps himself nearly invisible online, he hasn't disappeared completely. Every now and then he steps into the spotlight on his own terms. He joins long-form podcasts and YouTube interviews with respected hosts like Shannon Sharpe on Club Shay Shay and up-and-coming comedians who see him as a legend. These conversations aren't about gossip or hype. They're deep, reflective, and honest. Keenen uses these rare appearances to finally tell his own story, the truth behind In Living Color, why he walked away, and how he rebuilt peace on his own path. He's also a constant support system for his family's growing empire. From mentoring his son Damon Wayans Jr. as he carves his own comedy lane, to helping with small Wayans family reunion projects, Keenen stays involved, just behind the scenes. It's not about headlines for him anymore, it's about legacy. After decades in front of cameras, he's chosen a life that's calm and free from chaos. He rarely makes public appearances, skips the glitzy award shows, and keeps interviews to a minimum. Even when his family gets honored, Keenen stays humble, quietly watching from the background. Fame doesn't drive him anymore. Love and privacy do. In a business that feeds off noise and exposure, Keenen made the rare choice to step back, not fade away. He isn't hiding out of fear. He's protecting what truly matters: his peace, his family, and the legacy he built with his own two hands. Because Keenen's legacy isn't hanging on red carpet photos or movie posters, it lives in the culture he changed forever. He didn't just make people laugh, he gave a whole generation permission to laugh their way. Loud, unapologetic, and true. It lives in the DNA of American pop culture. He didn't just create a television show, he created a revolution when In Living Color debuted. In 1990, American television was suddenly forced to confront itself, its prejudice, and the kind of comedy for the white majority, all exposed by Keenen right in prime time. The audience laughed, but it was laughter with awareness, and that was something Hollywood had never been able to control, thanks to him. For the first time, Black creators were not just behind the camera, but leading the game. a stage where police brutality was called out. The upper class was mocked, and voices from neglected neighborhoods were heard in front of millions of viewers. After only a few episodes, America realized this wasn't just a comedy show. This was a declaration of power. Talents who once had the doors of Hollywood slammed in their faces were pulled into the spotlight by Keenen Jim Carrey, from a nobody to a $20 million per film superstar. Jamie Foxx, from a small stage comedian to an Academy Award winner, Jennifer Lopez. From a background dancer to a global icon, he saw in them what Hollywood couldn't: the potential to become legends. Keenen was the one who opened the door, while others only dared to look at it from afar. But Keenen's greatness didn't just come from his victories, it came from the dynasty. He lifted the Wayans family, the iconic empire of American comedy. All began with the eldest brother, Keenen Ivory Wayans, from Damon to Sean and Marlon. Each member of the Wayans family left their own unforgettable mark on entertainment history, and every single one of them started their rise from the foundation Keenen Ivory Wayans built. He didn't just chase fame for himself, he opened doors for an entire generation of artists, comedians, and creators who once had no place in Hollywood. 30 years later, in 2025, that legacy could no longer be ignored. The NAACP Image Awards Hall of Fame made it official, honoring the Wayans family for their groundbreaking influence on television, film, and American culture itself. It was more than an award. It was history finally giving credit where it was long overdue. Let's be real, without Keenen, the entertainment world would look completely different today. He changed the game, reshaped representation, and turned comedy into a weapon for truth. Some legends stay under the spotlight until their final days, but Keenen, he chose to step away, and still, the light followed him. That's the sign of true impact, when your influence keeps shining even after you've left the stage. Keenen Ivory Wayans didn't just make people laugh, he made them think. He proved that power doesn't always need noise, and that real legacy doesn't fade when the cameras stop rolling. His story is proof that walking away doesn't mean disappearing, it means owning your freedom. If you believe Keenen's story deserves to be heard by more people, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment sharing your thoughts. Let's keep uncovering the hidden truths of Hollywood, and I'll catch you in the next one.